And we're doing it.
Good evening, Eric.
Good evening, Thomas.
How's life?
Life is good, man. Life is good.
Not too bad, eh?
Not bad, not bad. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. The week has been pretty nice. Pretty happy.
Yeah, it's been a good one.
Yeah?
Yeah, like you said, the weather was half decent
Mm-hmm.
for most of the week. Then,
Only the last week
yeah,
for a while.
winter is coming. It is upon us.
Yeah.
How was work?
Work was good.
Cheers.
One midterm exam. Cheers. Midterm exam, so that's less work for me.
The TAs do all the grading?
No, actually, it's I have like 18 students, so I don't have a TA for that one. Actually, I have to do the grading.
Yeah.
I gotta start.
Mm-hmm.
But less preparation.
Yeah.
I just sat, browsed online, look at t-shirts, whatever, and then they were done. I'm like, oh, nice. And
But you had to make the midterm.
I had to make the midterm, but it was not very difficult.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
class?
It's a machine learning course
Oh,
in
okay.
economics. Yeah.
Cool.
So I just had them explain some concept, some econometrics concept without any stats, without any math.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that method work?
Just intuition.
Yeah. And proper explanation, but a lot of people just don't learn the jargon,
Mm-hmm.
and so they don't express themselves well.
Mm.
And I tell them the jargon is important. I'm using the word estimator or prediction in specific spots. You got to learn those things by heart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe it's me bitching, but it feels like here people don't learn things by heart.
Mm.
I tell them this is definition. It means this is by heart.
Mm-hmm.
And then they mix the words, and then it loses its meaning, and it's just wrong.
Yeah, they just start throwing out a bunch of stuff like
Yeah.
that doesn't apply, doesn't
And
relate.
that makes a huge difference in a technical interview
Mm-hmm.
where you can
Mhm.
know your shit.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my God, I'm so bad at technical interviews.
I never had one, but
I'm sure you'd be good because you're smart and you do remember things by heart and you remember the terminology and stuff.
I don't remember. But since there are so many things that I know that I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm also feeling like if I answer a question, I might be missing something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's possible, but probably not.
I mean, my
Yeah.
knowledge is broad. It's not too specific.
No, that's not true. You have a PhD. You have to
Yeah.
get specific.
But I'm specific on one thing. But if they don't ask me about that thing, then I have a broader knowledge about economics in general,
Mm-hmm.
which I can answer a fair amount of questions.
Mm-hmm.
But it depends how specific they would like me to be.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you can always prepare for a technical interview anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or you can just do what I do and not prepare for them and just not do so well. And then move on to a different opportunity.
Yeah, actually, why not? I don't think I am in such a need of a specific position. I'm like, well, that's fine. I'll just, I think at the beginning I'll go with my intuition, try to see how it works. I never had a job interview.
Mm.
So I think
You've never had a job interview.
well, I had one for WeWork.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess it was technical because I had a question about data and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was on Zoom. I don't know. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
tried my best, but I would like to see what it feels like in person.
Yeah.
And,
Oh man, that's tough. It's much better to interview on Zoom.
Yeah, but I like to get experience in it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't prepare too much at the beginning and see what I expect. And if I make a fool of myself, it's fine. I can also tell them that this is a question I cannot answer, but I know what the answer is,
Mm-hmm.
and I can figure it out in 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me my phone and Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
and the thing is I can read and explain.
Mm-hmm.
I can understand it fast enough to explain it, so it's not as if I was in this urge of finding the answer and I wouldn't be able to explain what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I can read about it and right away say, oh yeah, this is what this is doing. Yeah, I can explain it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, like I don't know, my knowledge I feel like is not so readily available. Like we were talking about coding and how like you use Google a lot when you're coding. At least I do a
So
lot.
do I.
Like
Mhm.
I have to go and figure out the exact syntax on how to do certain things because I don't remember that. I can remember generally that, oh, okay, I need to do something like X, Y, and Z. And then you go to Google and say, how do I do X, Y, Z? And then fish around, root around, find what you're looking for, adapt it to what your situation is.
It's a great resource.
Yeah, and then go. But like some people, I feel like Ricardo, he remembers a lot of syntax and stuff. Like he knows Stata so well.
But he's been doing it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true. He's been working in Stata for a long time.
I stopped doing R for, I don't know, a couple months because I was busy with classes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you give me 2 more hours and everything is coming back,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be fine.
Yeah. And by the way, Stata and R are these coding languages where you can do statistical analysis, among other things.
Absolutely, among
Mhm.
other things. Yeah, mainly used in among economists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, statisticians, data science people. Well, they might use Python more
Yeah,
so.
they're more in Python
But,
and
yeah.
crazier languages.
Yeah, there's so many of them.
Yep.
So many different ones.
R is convenient. It's great for many things, but when you want to get into hardcore efficient coding, yeah, that might not be the best option. But you can do so many things for you already. You can make your resume, your presentations. You can send yourself emails in R. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can write a book in R,
Uh-huh.
and everything is compiled on the spot.
Yeah.
So I make my presentations in R.
Mm-hmm.
So every time it reruns and it produces the PDF, it reruns the code. So if something is generated randomly, like I create my own data
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, well, every time it's going to show me a different plot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very nice. You can literally be in a presentation in a lecture or something and say, oh, what if I change this number? You change it, you click on enter, boom, boom, boom. PDF shows up and you say, oh, now the graph is different.
Yeah.
So it's
That's pretty cool. It's like an active.
Yeah.
It's dynamic.
oh, it's very dynamic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Coding.
You stop using this coding. That's why.
Hmm?
That's why that's why this knowledge is not readily available to you. You stop doing it.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
now you have a new knowledge which is readily available.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I'm gaining different knowledge,
Mhm.
getting new knowledge, which is fun.
Yeah.
Like, it was scary, though, the other day. I told you.
Mhm.
That pipe swung down. Fuck. So, yeah, we were lifting this pipe up towards the ceiling to put it in hangers and then bolt it onto these other two sections of pipe. And we got it in the hanger. It's a right angle piece of pipe. And it probably weighs 150 pounds. Yeah, so it's not easy to manipulate. And we were rotating one end of it to bolt it up, but the other end wasn't secured properly. And so it swung down, and then the fucking thing hit me in the head, or in the face, in the lip. Hit the other guy I was working with in the arm. But luckily it didn't fall to the ground. Like it it hung in the hanger. So yeah, we did that right. But then we had to reconfigure it, and then we finally got it up in the air safely, which was good. But yeah, it was definitely scary, that thing flying down, like... Yeah, and I was on a ladder, so if it had hit me, like, a lot harder, then I could have easily just, like, flown through the air, fallen and broken my neck or something.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, we ended up getting it done safely, and definitely won't be doing that again. Like, I'll be way more cautious in the future. Yeah, but work is good in general. Like, I've been learning more stuff. We've been working on these things called ETSs, so energy transfer stations. And essentially, it takes like hot water from the city, runs it through what's called a heat exchanger. So that water circulates and it's hot, and it heats up the heat exchanger, and then another set of pipes go through the heat exchanger, and then it transfers the heat to that other water without crossing the streams. So the two different pipe systems never cross.
Okay.
The heat exchanger just makes one section of the piping hotter. And it's a bunch of fucking pipes all over the place, and there's all these components and stuff. But I finally, through asking different people, like, kind of what's going on and getting a bunch of different perspectives, well, 2 or 3, I was able to figure out exactly what's going on with the systems. Like, because there's primary, there's secondary, there's domestic, there's heating. So there's a bunch of different ways you can describe the different piping systems. And I finally kind of figured it out. And that felt good. Because looking at it in the beginning, I was like, what the fuck is happening here? This shit, it's so confusing. But so that felt good.
And that's readily available knowledge for you.
There you go.
You just listed a bunch of things, like 4 domestic, something. I skipped that, but you see what I mean? Which, as you said at the beginning, was a what the fuck thingy.
Yeah. I guess that's how it goes. You do something new, it's confusing, and
you replace the old knowledge by the new one.
Yeah.
Or whatever it's important, you keep, and throw the rest away.
Yeah. But I guess I'm sure my brain doesn't throw it away, but it just tucks it deep inside if I'm not actively using some certain knowledge.
Yeah. It's one thing. I feel like the brain is. We could probably compare brains to hard drives. Like SSD versus HDD or something like that. I just don't know enough, but it's about how you access the information, right?
Yeah.
You might know that it's somewhere out there, like in your brain, but you need to remember it. And then sometimes people have good cues to remember things, like mnemonic devices or other things, and others they're like, I'm pretty sure I know about it, but I don't know right now. But once you tell me, I'll be like, yep, I definitely remember learning it.
Yeah. If I'm reminded of stuff.
Exactly.
But it's so annoying because I don't remember so much math that I had to learn. And like, I love math. I love what it can do. I love the fact that it makes sense. The fact that it's logically consistent. But if you ask me to fucking set up a Lagrangian right now, I'd be like,
nah, come on.
Good luck.
You can.
No.
If I write down like the maximization and the constraint, like maximizing utility and a budget constraint, I'm sure it will ring a bell.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. It will not take like 5 seconds, not 10 seconds, but maybe after a minute or two, you're like, oh yeah, fucking lambda.
Yeah.
And then you'll figure it out.
That's the thing, is if I sat down with a computer and Google, then yeah, I could relearn it in a much shorter amount of time than it took me the first time. Yeah. But some people, I feel like they just remember more things than I do. Some people just have like more ready access to to old memories and stuff.
It could be daily practice that keeps the brain active as well. Like, for instance, in your case, what you learn is not purely theoretical knowledge. It's more like practical knowledge at work.
Yeah.
In my case, I'm still reading things and talking about things, so they're still there.
Yeah, you're much closer to the PhD life.
Yeah. So I don't have to. I probably don't have to go through all of these layers before accessing that particular knowledge. That knowledge is maybe 1 or 2 layers deep, but that's it. It's just there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And then the fact that I'm requiring that knowledge from my brain every day probably keeps it easier to access.
Oh yeah,
for practicing.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. So you still enjoying teaching?
No, teaching is fun. I've been teaching the same things for a while.
Yeah.
It's my 3rd year teaching the same course. It's I've been changing things every time, but I'm getting the same kind of. You only remember the annoying students, the ones that send you rude emails, and you don't think about all the nice ones who just shut their mouth. They come to class and they study and they do well, but you don't notice them, right?
Yeah.
You mostly notice the bad kid in the class.
Yeah.
And
we have a negativity bias as humans.
Yeah, and it's a bit tiring to see that. To be reminded constantly that I cannot fully treat them like adults sometimes. I'm like, I need to guide you through everything. Like, yeah, I told you to do this, and they don't. I'm like, come on, dude, like take notes then. And they look at you and they don't take notes. It's like, it's now. I'm telling you now.
They don't take notes?
No, nobody does. No.
The hell?
They look at my slides, they listen, they close their eyes, they sleep half the time. Yeah. And maybe I understand. I mean, I don't think I have a soothing voice, but I'm trying to speak slower, and I'm trying to articulate for all of the international students who don't speak the language well.
Mm-hmm.
So of course, the native speakers or the ones who speak fluently, they might be like, it's a bit slow.
Mm.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But these guys can still take notes, and some of them do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, even some of them who barely speak English, they're literally like not even hiding that they're sleeping. They're like this. Like in class, it's like straight in front of me, and I have less than 10 students in the class, and I'm like, I see you, buddy. Like, come on, hide it. Do something about it.
You can't be one of 8 people
Yeah.
sleeping.
Like, I had a student on Wednesday. So I started talking about the vacancy tax in Vancouver.
Okay.
The tax on homes which are left empty.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, yeah, that's maybe one of the reasons why it's in place and so on. And then she had something to say about it because she knew a bit better. So okay, I was like, okay. And she talks, like very good input. I was like, oh, okay, I'll look into it. And that's very interesting. Then I resumed my lecture, and 15 minutes later, I was about to talk about this tax again for an example,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to reference her. I was like, oh yeah. And I look at her, she was like this. I was like, oh. And I was like, oh, she's sleeping. And the students behind her thought I was talking about them. They're like, no, not you, like her. And eventually she opened her eyes, but not even like not even like that. She was
Just had a little cat nap.
like so casually doing it. I was like, it's kind of bold. Like, I have fell asleep before. I have fallen asleep before. It
Mhm.
was, after lunch. It could be whatever. Some people in the morning or after lunch, to each their own.
Yeah.
But at least I'm trying to hide it.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing like this, like, pretending I'm reading the text or I'm taking notes.
Uh-huh.
These guys are like in front of me. I'm like, oh, come on, dude. At least try. I don't know.
Yeah, man, I've never fallen asleep in a class.
Never?
Like, no.
Oh.
It's like, no, before college, yeah. In like middle school, high school, yeah, I would fall asleep in class, particularly in high school. But class was easy. I didn't really have to,
Oh, yeah. Pay attention.
yeah, I didn't have to pay attention all the time because I could read the books and I could, I did well. But college, like, that was a big wake-up call. That's when classes stopped being easy. Like, all throughout, primary school or whatever, and then high school. Yeah, I didn't have to work that hard at class, so, which was cool because it was less stressful, and it was easier to do well. But then I was so unprepared when I got to college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've had that experience multiple times through my post-secondary education, like through college and grad school. And it was just so stressful going to class because I would always be like struggling to take as many notes as I possibly can and like, take all the input and stuff. And
That's how it should be.
yeah, and the fuck was I just gonna say? I've always had problems sleeping, so I would be up all night and do homework and shit, but then I'd fall asleep at like 4 or 5 in the morning, so then I could never take morning classes because I was like, yeah, I will fall asleep. So I just didn't take morning classes.
Yeah,
I
sure.
planned my schedule so that I was in the afternoon all the time,
Mm-hmm.
so that I wouldn't be falling asleep in class. And yeah, man, that's just, I can't even imagine that. How much work are these people doing that they're falling asleep in class? like it's such an uncomfortable situation to be sleeping
I
in.
don't think that's because they work so much. I think a lot of it could come from passivity, by not trying to be active and take notes. Like in my case, I know I fall asleep easily post lunch.
Mm-hmm.
Digestion. It's you sit down, you're a bit idle, like, oh shoot.
Yeah, I remember you would always take naps in the
Right,
office
yeah,
on the couch.
Yeah. And I know I've been trying to eat less. Maybe it's because I eat too much or something.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it's just eventually my stomach is like, all right, give me 30 minutes, give me some blood. I'll be processing all of that and then go back to it.
Yeah.
And a couple times I didn't fall asleep because I was like, no, if I force myself to stay active and take notes, then I would not fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple times where actually I fell asleep taking notes.
What?
Yeah, it's funny. When you wake up, it's funny as fuck because you're like taking notes. You're like trying, and then eventually you feel like your eyes are falling down, like your eyelids, and you're still going, and eventually you're like just And then you look, and then when you wake up, you look at like, oh my god, the whole line was actually getting very like. It's rare. It's when I really need like when I really need to sleep. But it's a post lunch thing. Like for instance, I never fell asleep after being hugely hungover. I partied on Thursday nights in France. That's student nights. And Friday morning, I remember first year I had the most boring class ever. There was a law class, super dry. The guy just talks to 400 people, doesn't stop, and you have to take notes. 8:30 in the morning, or 8, I think like 8 to 11 or something, 3 hours. You know, you go to bed at 4, wake up at 7:30 or something just to go to class, and I never fell asleep on these ones. That's no, I was eventually, you know, I don't know, you cycle out of it, I guess. But after lunch, every time, whew.
Yeah.
But I don't know, these students, like that one, she fell asleep at 4 p.m. on Wednesday. 8:30, I understand. Some of these guys, they're just not morning persons.
Yeah.
Okay, you know, I'm like, well, sorry, buddy, that's when the class is.
Yeah.
I didn't choose the schedule.
Yeah. No, I can understand that, like super early stuff. That's more reasonable.
Yeah.
To like fall, but I don't know. I guess I'm lucky and unlucky because I've always had trouble falling asleep. So to me, the idea of falling asleep while you're doing something else is just so foreign to me. Like I've never had that experience.
Yeah.
Unless...
But I don't see them take notes. I hint at them. I say, hey, that might show up on the midterm. That might show up on the final. And I say that every week. And I'm trying to give them an edge. I'm trying to give an edge to the ones who show up. Because yes, it's painful to show up at 8:30. And I'm trying to give them a reward. They barely take notes. And I had some that I really thought were listening and were coming every week. And then they were surprised in the midterm and the final. And I said, come on, I hinted at it. Like almost, I didn't wink, but I mean, come on. I'm not going to start winking at everybody like, hey. That's it. It's in the midterm. But yeah, and I don't know. First thing I would do whenever they give me a tidbit like this, I'm like, ooh, important concept midterm. You see what I mean? I'm going to learn this one particularly well, or
yeah, man.
It could be a different culture. It could be a different generation. I don't know what's different, but and you have some who just try very hard and take a lot of notes, but
yeah. I don't know. I guess it's probably also hard for us to understand that because we spent more time in grad school than in undergrad. So, like, for me, education in my mind, it's like I always think of, I guess people that are passionate about learning or passionate about academics. But, I mean, I can understand if you don't want to go to grad school, you're just like, okay, I'm just in college to get a job. Some XYZ job.
And they take your course because maybe they heard it was relatively easy, or
or they just have to, and they don't really want to.
Yeah.
But I can't even remember where I was going with this.
Taking notes, how different things are.
Oh yeah, so I guess I don't know. It's weird because I think of people in university as like the same as people in grad school, so it's just like how can you possibly be fucking up like this? Because you can't do that in grad school, and people that go to grad school are self-selecting into it, so they tend to be better students who are more diligent and take notes and stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's good to remember the way that I felt, because I did find in college, I mean, I did well, but I remember being so against the idea of going to grad school at the end of college. I was like, fuck this. I'm never going back to school. Like, just fuck that forever. And then here I am many years later, having done a lot of grad school. But going to grad school was cool. I remember thinking that grad school was just going to be really annoying and really hard and no fun. When I was in undergrad, I thought that's what grad school would be like. But then I met my wife now. She wasn't my wife at the time. But she was in grad school. And her friends would like go out and party every single weekend, just like we used to in undergrad. but they were just like working really hard on stuff that they were interested in. Because when you go to grad school, you
Yeah.
study something specific
Yeah.
that you want to study.
So
Hopefully.
naturally, you want to study the classes that you're studying for,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to take whatever random elective to get your 3 credits or something. You're like, GPA booster, whatever.
Yeah, I did take my biggest example of just being forced to take classes that were annoying was this class in ethnomusicology, which sounds like it would be cool. I thought it was going to be great. It was about different music from different cultures. But the guy was a Canadian, actually, the professor. He just made it so boring, and he was so, I don't know, I got the feeling of like, dude, just relax. This is music. Like, this is not
Was he
physics or something.
Was he stressed?
I don't know. He really expected everyone to be like super into it or something and like want to take it seriously. I don't know. I just didn't like the class, and I didn't want to have to, because you had to like listen to different types of music for homework assignments, and a lot of the music was just like really annoying. Like folk music from Madagascar or something, just like some random stuff. The one cool thing was a gamelan. It's quote unquote one instrument, but it's a bunch of people playing a bunch of different instruments. It's a group of people, and it sounds like the basis for techno music, because it's like one guy will start with just like ding ding ding
Sure.
ding ding, and then someone else will start doing some other thing with some other instrument,
And
and then it like builds and builds, and eventually you've got like all these different layers going on.
Mm.
So that was cool. I remember that one thing, the gamelan. There was a Balinese gamelan and a Javanese gamelan, I think, and there are 2 different types of gamelans, but I couldn't tell you the difference now at all. But yeah, classes that you have to take that you don't really want to take in undergrad.
Yeah.
Like, ugh.
I had my share too.
Yeah, that's what I imagined grad school being like. It's just like really hard, a lot of work, no fun, like. But I don't know. I feel like I partied more in grad school than I did in undergrad, which is saying something, because we partied a fucking lot in undergrad. Like every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we were fucking getting lit, just having a ball. And then in grad school, same kind of thing. Not Thursdays, but Fridays, Saturdays. Yeah, every weekend was a party.
I guess that in undergrad you're partying because everybody is, and things will not be that stressful. As long as you do some work, you just pass your classes. When you're in grad school, you're closer to being like ready to work, and it's something you're more interested in, so you work harder in it anyway. But I look at it as, when I study hard, I also want to party hard. So I don't know in my case if I went out more during my masters than my undergrad, but yeah. I think the knowledge, I don't know. To me, it depends a lot on the professor, on the teacher. To me, like, I might not like a topic, but if it's taught by somebody that I don't know, that I click with, it could be the way they talk, what they say, or how they say it. Then I'm like, wow, I didn't know, but I actually have interest for that field now, thanks to them.
Yeah.
That's how I got into economics. That's how I got into many, many different things. Math as well.
Yeah, teachers are really important.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, we got no synthwave. I just realized.
Put that later.
In high school, the calculus teacher that I had was like the best in the state or something. She got some award for teaching calculus. Yeah, she was really good. She was fucking amazing, and I did so well in that class. Like, I had the highest grade in the class 3 out of 4 semesters, and then the one where I wasn't the highest, I was the second highest. So I was a little disappointed by that, but it wasn't too bad. Yeah, I remember one time I was on the phone in class or something, and the teacher did not like that, obviously. She kind of looked at me like, what are you doing? Like, seriously? But I feel like she couldn't really say too much because I was doing the best in the class. So, like,
right.
It wasn't like,
right.
Yeah. But that was fun. I loved taking calculus. It was so much fun. But then when I got to college, Calc 2, I couldn't even do it because the teacher, it was a huge class, like 300 students. The
Oh.
teacher didn't care at all.
Yeah.
And at big universities, that's a problem.
Yeah, you're just a number.
Yeah. So they just, no kind of help. I went to like this homework help tutoring kind of thing, but they didn't help me. Like I just sat down. I was like, okay, I got to do this. And then I was like, can you help explain this to me? And he's like, just do it. And if you have any questions, then let me know. So I was asking questions. They just didn't help at all.
But so you were able to do the work without
No,
getting...
I did terrible in that class.
Okay.
That's, yeah, like I said, I was so unprepared for like the workload in college
Mm-hmm.
and the amount of notes that you had to take, the studying that you had to do outside of, because that's the thing in high school and stuff, I didn't take notes. I didn't study outside of class.
Oh, wow.
I just, yeah, it would just go in and then I'd regurgitate it. And I was like, how does anyone do bad at this? Like, it's so easy. But then in college, it was like the level of expertise that you have to have in the different courses that you take is much higher. There's a lot more work involved. And if you don't take notes and you don't study outside, then, yeah, you're not going to be able to do well. Well, I'm sure some people could do well that way, but not me.
Yeah.
And then in the first master's degree in environmental law and policy, it wasn't too hard. It wasn't that big of a step up. It was definitely a step up from college to grad school. But I don't know. I feel like I have this perception of law. It's not that hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because what we did was we basically took the first year of law school, except we switched some classes for some of the, like we didn't do contracts, we didn't do constitutional law, but we did other classes, like higher level classes that were more specific, like energy law or, different types of things.
Yep.
And so that was cool. I got the hang of that pretty quickly. But then once I got back into economics and the math and stuff, it was so hard. Like I was underprepared for the master's degree, but then by the end of it, I definitely got the hang of it. I did really well by the end. And then same thing in the PhD. I was fucking way underprepared for that first year, but got the hang of it eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's just been like this progression of like feeling, okay, I'm doing well, and then, fuck. Okay, I'm doing well, fuck.
Yeah, but the fuck is never, because you're going high,
Mm-hmm.
and when you go down, your down is not as low as your previous down, because you're challenging yourself. So it's you're going high every time. You're going higher and higher every time.
Yeah.
Challenging yourself. So
yeah,
it's for me it was the opposite. Math was easier than law.
Really?
In France, I don't know if it's a French thing, but law is to me, I wouldn't say it's incredibly, probably difficult, but it's just a lot of learning by heart.
Yeah.
You have to learn the laws, the name of the laws, the numbers of the laws.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pull them out like whenever you need. I had an oral presentation for an exam, a law exam, business law it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I had to pull out all the stuff, and the professor, she was a law prof, and she had like maybe 15, I don't know, maybe between 15 and 30 econ students and 300 law students.
Oh.
But she told me I could go to law. I was like, oh, great, but no thank you. I'm happy to be done. I'm telling you. And then getting a master's at the bar, whatever other exams these guys have to do.
Well, no, they get a Juris Doctorate, which I think
JD.
is funny because it's not a real doctorate. Like, you don't have to do original research. But
Right.
it's called a Juris Doctorate.
Yeah. Playing with the labels.
Yeah, I thought about potentially becoming a lawyer because so I went to Vermont Law School, which is the best environmental law school, and so they have that master's in environmental law and policy program, but they also have the JD program. And if you do well in the MELP program, which is what I did, then you can pretty much guarantee you get a spot in the law program if you want. So it was an option. I thought hard about it, but ultimately, like, being a lawyer is just doing other people's paperwork at like a really high level, and it just seems really fucking boring to me.
Pays
Right.
well though. Here.
You'd be surprised. Like, some lawyers don't actually make
No.
a lot of money, at least in the U.S.
Well, actually, even here, it seems that in your junior years, you're just killing yourself at work, like crazy amount of hours,
Mm-hmm.
but you get paid salary. It's not per hour. I'm not sure what it is, but
Mm.
it's probably once you become a partner or senior, they have
Mm-hmm.
names for those positions
Yeah, partner.
where life becomes chill. It becomes closer to 9 to 5.
I don't even think it becomes chill.
No?
I think you make more money, but that's one big problem with lawyers is the golden handcuffs. Is they make so much money per hour.
Yeah,
Like
they just
not
stick to it.
working is just costing them so much money.
Shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't seem like a job with a lot of work-life balance, with a healthy work-life balance for a lot of people. I do know some lawyers that are, well, he just won. He doesn't seem like he's killing himself
It may be,
working.
well, it may be whether you're also working, like, if you're a prosecutor for the government or something, you're closer to 9 to 5. You might have to work on weekends sometimes, but
Right.
it's not like,
Yeah, probably for the government, it's a decent
yeah,
work-life balance.
yeah.
And it might just be better up here in Canada in general.
But yeah, in the private sector, that might be cutthroat.
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I'm glad I went back into economics. It was funny. What got me back into it was we had this one case that we were looking at, and it was, or no, maybe it was just energy policy. Anyway, there was a diagram showing a really simplified diagram of like a gas-fired power plant. And so it was just, you had a certain number of megawatts in, and then you get a certain number of megawatts out of just energy. But there's energy loss at each stage in the process. And so it was literally just multiplying the number by something less than 1 to see, the energy loss at each point, and then you get at the end. And I remember all these law students were freaking the fuck out. They were like, what is this? Like, how do we figure this out? Is this gonna be on the test? Like, I just remember thinking, like, what? This is super basic.
Yeah.
And I liked it. I remember I was like, oh fuck, I really want to get back into math, because I had enjoyed math so much as a kid. And then, yeah, I started looking for economics programs, found the one in San Francisco, and went out there. Had a blast.
And from USF to SFU.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Yeah, it was funny I think it was within the first year of the program, I realized I wanted to do a PhD and applied to SFU.
The program was 2 years?
2 years, yeah. Yeah, it was 1 year, and then in the summer, in between the 2 years, you had to go and live and work abroad doing some sort of research in a developing country. So that's why I lived in Rwanda for 3 months. Yeah, which was, oh my god. Whew, talk about partying in grad school, man. That was that was wild. Like, it was, every single weekend was so much, even the weekdays were so much fun. And the food was great, the weather was amazing, the people are awesome. The bars were cool, the clubs were fun, the restaurants, fucking fantastic. Like, if I could live in Rwanda, I think that would be awesome. Like, doing some sort of small business. Yeah, it's a cool place. And there was construction everywhere. Like, that country's really developing at a quick rate. It's like one of Africa's few real success stories. Yeah, it's really inspiring. Like, the president, Paul Kagame, came in and was like, fuck this corruption shit, we're not dealing with that, we're going to build up the infrastructure of the country, we're going to keep the country safe and peaceful. And yeah, so there was a lot of, I don't even say a lot, like, there was a good amount of security forces. I don't know if they were like the army or the police or some combination of the two. But yeah, dudes walking around with the machine guns and stuff. Not a lot of them, but like enough so that you're like, oh, okay, like, they're out here controlling the peace, trying to keep the peace.
Yep.
And every interaction I had with any of them was positive. Like, they were all very chill and nice, and yeah, it was cool. was cool. It was really awesome living there for 3 months. Like, oh. So I was working with this team of researchers in the law school, actually, because my master's thesis was about this land transfer law in Rwanda, saying that you have to give land inheritances to male and female children equally.
Okay.
Because a lot of times in the past, female children have been screwed out of their inheritances, or they just don't get them. And the project was really interesting, and I was doing good work on it. Like, I did the whole literature review. I think I did like a project proposal or something. Anyway, but then economists up at the top levels of the organizations that were working together, they couldn't agree on like how to split the money or something. So then the whole thing got canceled. And basically the second half of the summer, I was just living in Rwanda, just enjoying myself.
Cool.
Yeah. Which was, it was so cool. So cool. I had so much fun. And my French, by the end of that summer, it was awesome.
Sharp.
Very sharp. Like I had whole friendships in French. Like people that never heard me speak English ever.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that was such a good learning experience. Oh, yeah, I would love to be able to live in the tropics somewhere and speak French every day. Maybe someday. We'll see.
Yeah.
I guess I could move to Quebec. Speak French every day.
Tropical, yeah.
Oh, shit.
So yeah, you could make it a summer activity. You would get the heat
Mm-hmm.
and come back here for the winter or something.
Yeah. That could be cool. Yeah, Montreal's beautiful in the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fucking beautiful.
Housing is still very affordable.
Yeah.
Don't know why, but it is. Same with, I think, Quebec City.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can probably do that for a couple months. Bring the wife and the kid for a bit, so the kid sees something else.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the wife can work remotely for that time or something.
That's possible.
You know, those things can be arranged these days.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, yeah, I'm out for a month, but let's just move on to Zoom or whatever else.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, we'll see. We will see.
Yeah.
Want to take a break?
Let's take a break.
All right.
See you in the next one.